Welcome to the We Shine Well podcast, where I have real conversations with thought leaders in wellness to help you live your most vibrant, aligned, and purposeful life. I'm your host, Zoe Kelsey, founder of We Shine Well. Here, we share honest stories, gems of wisdom, and insight to spark clarity and guide your next right step, so you can shine brighter from the inside out. Now let's dive in. From one nut butter lover to another, I'm joined by Julie Loos, co-founder of Ground Up Nut Butter, a nut butter company that's redefining what it means to build a business for good. Ground Up isn't just creating delicious products. They're creating real impact through their employment training program. They partner with local nonprofits to provide women overcoming adversity with the skills, confidence, and support they need to rebuild their lives. Julie's work sits at the intersection of entrepreneurship, purpose, and impact. In this conversation, we talk about building a mission-driven business, the fun behind-the-scenes journey the past 10 years, and realities, navigating the realities of entrepreneurship, and how each of us can use our unique gifts to make a difference in the world. Let's dive in. Hi, Julie. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast today. As one nut butter lover to another, I have admired Ground Up for so long. My brother would even buy me Ground Up nut butter for Christmas before I knew you. So grateful to have this conversation.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm super excited and glad to find another nut butter fan and to be connected now.
Yes. So Ground Up is, obviously it's so delicious, but it's also very unique in the business model that you have that is for profit, but also making an impact in the world. Can you take us back to how this all started with you and your co-founder bringing nut butter and such impactful work together?
Yeah, absolutely. It's wild. I'm going to take you back over a decade. I feel old. We are celebrating 10 years in business this month, which is so crazy.
Wow. Congrats.
Thank you so much. The journey began actually, I was living in Uganda in East Africa, and I was overseeing a job training program there for women. So we did paper bead jewelry work, which is a skill that women in northern Uganda have. And the product was then shipped or exported and sold in the US. So I moved over there when I was 22, which is crazy. And I oversaw an operation and team of about 160 women. And our goal was to help them save so that they could then start their own small business, which in Uganda with like $500, you actually could start a business that would start to have a great impact, not only on your life, but it would trickle down into your family and your community. And I really saw the power of providing someone with that step up and the impact that could have. So when I moved home to Portland, back to Oregon, I was pretty bored at any job I'd had after working in Uganda and all that came with a day in the life in that job role. And so I just thought, why could this model not work in Portland? Why couldn't we try this type of working model with women overcoming adversity in my own hometown? And having heard for so long and witnessed the homeless situation in our city and what can we do about it? And so I met with probably 100 different people in the city to see okay, is there a need for this type of job training program here? And really learned that women overcoming adversity were motivated to work, but lacked the skills, experience, or confidence to be hired by an employer. And realized that there wasn't a lot of other programs like this that existed. I was like, it'd be a lot easier to go work for someone who's already doing this, but I guess I can't find it. So I got to start it. And so I was fortunate to meet my co-founder, Carolyn. I had all sorts of crazy ideas for products that could be launched to support this job skills training program. And I was so fortunate to meet Carolyn. I was a huge nut butter fan at the time. She was making nut butters due to dietary constraints that she had herself and different doctor mandated diets she was on. And at the time, 12, 11 years ago, when we got going, there wasn't nut butters in the market that didn't have added palm oil, powdered sugar, cane sugar, or it was just grind your own with nothing exciting happening. So we were working at the same company and she brought in some nut butter to try and I tried it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. I'm obsessed with nut butter to fuel my active lifestyle and nut butter is expensive. So can you teach me how to make it? And and it was at the time I was looking for a product. She wanted to start a business, but not without a greater purpose or mission. And so we came together and really hit the ground running.
Wow. So how has this incredible program come to life where you partner with these nonprofits with this 6 to 9 month training program?
Yeah. Yeah, it's come to life over time and gradually, and it's incredible 10 years in business to have employed and trained and empowered over 100 women at Ground Up, which is so exciting. And yeah, it really, from the very beginning, we were set on making sure that that mission stayed our anchor and stayed at the core. And we need the revenue of the product to fuel our ability to do this work. But from day one, we had a nonprofit partner organization and we had one woman working with us. Even when we were working out of our house, hand labeling everything like in those very early days. And the
Mhm.
program really evolved and morphed and shaped into what it is today. A lot of our learnings that came from each of the women that came through the program. And as we learned, like, okay,
Mhm.
women overcoming a variety of adversities, what are the barriers that they're facing to re-enter the force? What challenges, what resources are they needing to help set them up for success? And so the training program continued to evolve and morph those first couple years. And then continually, as we had more resource and got into more stores and started selling more jars, that allowed us to add more support systems to where today we have a job coach on staff who works
Mm.
one on one with individuals in our job training program. That was a dream for years. I was a job coach, also selling, like doing way too many things to get this thing up and running. And with that goal always being, can we get into enough stores? Can we sell enough jars that we can bring some of that resource in house? While also knowing that it takes a village. It can't just be Ground Up who's offering the job opportunity, showing a lot more grace when it comes to our hiring practices. We don't run background checks. We're not looking at resumes, wondering why there's a gap in employment. We're really looking for someone's motivation to work. And we
Mhm.
say, yes, we believe in you and we want to give you that opportunity. And the confidence that comes from that, the impact that comes in that form is immeasurable.
Mhm. And what is the transformation outside of, I know you mentioned like confidence and courage. What are those transformations you've seen through these women going through this
Yeah.
program? And do they stay working with you or do they cycle out of it?
Yeah. Great question. So it depends. Now, as we're growing, we sometimes have the opportunity to hire back onto Ground Up in a permanent positions. They start in this 6 to 9 month job training program. And when we have permanent positions, we always hire within where we can. So about 75% of our staff and a majority of our production team are women who are overcoming adversity, getting back on their feet. And what we see is that when we're able to hire within and move level individuals up into positions of leadership, there is so much power in that to then have gained some skills and also to have gained that leadership ability that someone can take with them and to be an example for others early on in the training program to see what's possible and where they can go. So sometimes it's within our team, other times we have so many different job partner connections. So depending on what someone's interested in, sometimes someone joins our job training program, they love being in production. They love being on the line. They love seeing a finished product. Like I was a part of this and find a lot of pride and joy in that. And so sometimes we have a lot of connections in that industry. And so we're able to get referrals. Other times someone's interested in a construction apprentice program, going back to school, interested in a completely different industry. We built connections in the hospitality industry So sometimes heading into that, it's really based on someone's interests and goals. Our hope when we're here is that we're creating this safe, empowering, motivating environment where they can break the barriers that they've faced and have that this program on their resume, have a reference of someone who can say, yeah, I'm confident that they're going to show up to work and they're going to work hard, dismiss the fact that there might be this other gap in employment. And so we're really here to do those things and then hopefully set someone up for success, to meet whatever the goals they have, which is what our job coach is really focused on, is finding those opportunities and connections.
Mm-hmm. That's powerful. And in all of this, you mentioned that you've paved the way in implementing this kind of a program, and paving the way
Yeah.
doesn't come without its challenges. What are the challenges that you have faced navigating after the past 10 years to create the program you have today?
Yes. So many challenges, so much lost sleep. Yeah. I mean, one of the pieces, and this is what we set up to prove, is that it's possible to create a business that's focused on impact. And so many people thought we were crazy because we're essentially starting two in one, like kind of a nonprofit and this for-profit entity selling the product and trying to do it all in one. Yeah, I would say the challenge is continually, as the business grows, navigating that tension, right, of impact and of growth, and how do they sustain together at the same level, especially with the investment that training and investing in the individuals that we hire comes with, in a lot of beautiful ways and in a lot of challenging ways. So I would say that that's definitely one of the pieces, is kind of, okay, how do we continue to level up and elevate both sides? And when we first started, we weren't sure, like, will the nut butter really sell, but this job training program doesn't work, or this job training program is excelling, but we can't sell enough nut butter to support it. And so there's constantly that tension of, we want to offer more resources. How do we do so? And how do we make that financial model work out so that we can continue to do both well?
Mm-hmm. Do you guide other founders to set up businesses in this way?
Mhm. It's a dream of mine. I've had many conversations with other founders, especially when it comes to manufacturing. A lot of people are like, we have so much, so many gaps and that we can't fill. We need more employees. And I'm always like, we never have a problem finding staff. We have a constant, someone who just started our program was so excited. She's been waiting for 6 months to get in. And that's something because we are often hiring those individuals that are not necessarily hireable to the average eye. And so I think sometimes even just encouraging other founders, like, hey, may not think you're having bias when you're doing your hiring, but really consider some of your hiring practices and being more open to that second chance, third chance employment model. And so, yeah, it's something that I talk to a lot of founders about, and it can be intimidating. I'm very honest and open about the work that goes into it, and it is so worth it. I would not change it at all. And
Uh-huh.
it can be challenging if it wasn't built into the start of your business, right? Creating that infrastructure and support that's needed. So, yeah, definitely have had a lot of conversations, hopefully have changed some minds in terms of even just hiring practices. And I would say that a lot of our job partners, they're doing the work too. It takes a village. They're that next stage employer of, hey, you started at ground up. You learned how to show up on time. You gained that confidence. You learned how to interact better with your coworkers and with your manager. And now you're ready for that level up. And we need employers in that camp too, who are still willing to give grace, based on some of the adversities and scenarios that individuals are experiencing, that some days it can be harder to show up.
Based on what you're saying, it makes me think about both the founder perspective, but also somebody who's like an individual contributor. So for somebody
Yeah.
who's like a founder that's like, I want to make more of an impact in my business,
Yeah.
how do you recommend starting? And then the individual contributor who's like, I don't feel called to be an entrepreneur, but how can I make an impact from the seat that I'm in?
Yeah, absolutely. I think from an individual perspective, my goodness, seeking out brands that are B Corps or that are mission based. So often it's easy to pick up the product that's less expensive, or to just go buy on Amazon, but really seeking out and looking for brands that are mission based, and buying those products, because people ask all the time, how can I support your mission? And it's truly like, tell somebody about Ground Up and tell them to buy a jar. Gift Ground Up for all your gifting this year, for hostess gifts as a thank you around the holidays. So it's that ripple effect in terms of word of mouth and spreading the word for impact based businesses. And, sometimes it takes work to seek those businesses out. But when you find them, and if you like the product, tell as many people as you can. I would say as well, some organizations like us, like locally in Portland, we, at times have had volunteers who come lead workshops and use their skill set in the business world and come do mock interviews. So if there's an industry that you're in, it could be so much beneficial to an individual to have a mentor or to come do a training. So see if there's something. There are definitely organizations like Ground Up and workforce development programs in other parts of the country. So that would be, if you have the time versus more the money resource. And then in terms of founders, I would say it's really leaning into your passion and what that might be. For me, it really was like wanting to uplift and give people opportunities that may not have had them or have had setbacks. And that's what led me on this workforce development path and with my work in Uganda. And impact can look so differently based on passion. So is there a nonprofit partner that you could donate a percentage of funds? Or do you have a social media following that you could elevate organizations that are in line with what you're passionate about, so that that word of mouth spread can happen? So I think it can really look so differently based on your passion and based on capacity.
Yeah. And going back to B Corps, is there a centralized place people can find B Corps to be able to be mindful of where they're spending their money?
Yeah, that's a great question. Honestly, there should be a business guide with them. I would not be surprised. I will try to find it, and if we find it, we can link it in the notes. Um, this other organization called REDF, REDF, they have a gift guide, and it's other social enterprises like Ground Up across the country who are essentially employing and empowering individuals with barriers to re-enter the workforce. So we can definitely link their guide as well, that has products in all types of industries.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
And then just going back, it seems like your experience in the 2 years you've spent in Uganda has truly been transformational, and you're turning ripples into waves through that. How has that shaped not just Ground Up, but the way that you see the world and the way you live today?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's really cool to see it come to life on the business side. I would say, yeah, personally, the perspective that I have and that I gained through the women and people that I met in Uganda, there's just this joy despite often so little resource that is contagious. And so I think I constantly, when I have something, not to undermine a challenge or stress that I have in my own life, but it gives me perspective on the gratitude for the little things in life, the shelter, food, like not having to worry about some of those pieces, having opportunity, um, is something that I don't take for granted, like I maybe did before I lived in Uganda. I think also so many individuals that I met there just modeled beautiful community, and that's true helps you get by is this shared resource approach of what I have is ours and we're looking out for one another. And so I think in my personal life, I've really worked to build community that's not just like, okay, see each other once a month. We're busy, right? It's hard not to be like that, but to be like, no, for reals, like you need something, like reach out to me. And now having a kid, even more so, relying on each other is something that I saw modeled so beautifully. And it's a lot harder in our culture to live that way. It's not how, like, the traditional American way is not as communal. And so I've constantly over the years been evolving and figuring out what that really showing up for community can look like. And it was inspired by my time in Uganda.
Mm-hmm. Just knowing you and hearing more of your story that like is truly integral to everything that you do. Because even yesterday you posted about like connecting with other founders in Portland, and how are you bringing back that community centric impact to locally in Portland versus everybody being everywhere, but being centralized to like support local and looking for those opportunities. And I feel like sometimes in such a digital world that we live in, it can be easy to overlook what is happening in my own community, because it starts with us and where we live to truly be able to make that impact.
Totally. That's super well said. And I think today, in the time we're living in, it can be so overwhelming with what we're hearing and the needs, and to feel so small, right? Of how do I, like, this is a massive ocean. I'm a tiny fish. How do I even begin to make an impact? And it's easy to also be almost frozen or paralyzed in terms of how to take action. And you phrase that really well of like, okay, it's starting within my own sphere, within my own skill and resource. And if we all did that in the smallest way within our literal neighborhood, like, 50 to 100 feet from where we live or where we work, and had that mindset, it would have a huge ripple.
Mm-hmm. And every time I think about volunteering, sometimes it can be like, oh my gosh, I have to go out of my way. But every time it's like, I feel so good walking away. And it's like, it can feel selfish in a way to be like, oh my gosh, I helped. But also like, why do I just feel so good? Because it's like
Yeah.
humanity, we're meant to come together.
Totally. And I think to acknowledge, be myself in a season, other moms who are listening or who other individuals who are caregivers, like stretched in other ways. It's good to remember that within your capacity and resource of a season, giving back impact can look so different in terms of the resources that you have to offer. It's not always time, right? Sometimes it is money or skill set or a platform that you can be sharing, like we were mentioning earlier. So I think it's okay and good to acknowledge, like, what capacity do I have right now and which resources do I have the ability to pull from at this time.
And how has stepping into motherhood changed the way that you lead in work and show up?
Mm, great question. My, oh my. It is a lot.
And you have the cutest daughter ever.
Oh, thank you. It helps that she's cute. It really helps that she's cute. Yeah, it has been an incredibly challenging transition. I thought starting a business was really, really hard, and I feel like motherhood has not come naturally for me so much. Yeah,
Well, I'm
I
gonna
would.
pause there because even you saying that is going to be a permission slip to somebody listening right now of motherhood not coming naturally, because it's like, that you see the Instagram version of like, oh my God, this is what I'm doing with my baby. Everything is great. But what is happening in the non-highlight reel?
Right. We were crying 10 minutes earlier. We were yelling. It's so real. It's so raw. I would say, yeah, in terms of what perspective it's given me, or I forget exactly the question. Yeah, I think truly on days now that I come home overwhelmed or stressed by the challenges that I'm facing at work, and this little human's at the door running up to me, so excited to see me. and wants nothing but my complete presentness, not just my physical presentness, but as she's getting older and communicating, but my mental state, like being there. She notices now if I'm sitting there, but I'm not actually engaged with the pretend playing that we're doing with the kitchen. And so it's really helped to force this presentness and has really motivated me in my work to be more efficient and to really like say no confidently and to say yes confidently. And I have to say no a lot more than I say yes now, which has been a really, really hard challenge because I'm a yes lady. I'm like, I want to be there. I want to sample nut butter. I want to network. I don't know who I'm going to meet. I want to have a good time. And to realize, as we talk about resource, like the limited resource that I have in this season, it's so much more stretched. Not just the actual hours that I have in a day, but also sleeping less and like mental capacity that I have. And so it's really forced me. I've always struggled with saying like yes to too much. And so this season has really helped motivate me to be like, no, I'm going to say no. And I'm going to, once I send that email or once I tell that person, I'm not going to look back or regret that now. Oh, great. I have this capacity to say yes to this thing. I'm like, I am in, sign me up. And been super helpful and honestly super freeing.
It sounds like prioritizing your priorities. And I always think about the cost of yes, because I even personally am like, I need to say no, because what is the cost of yes if I'm not creating boundaries and space? Like, am I going to show up? Am I going to be resentful or bitter that I actually said yes and not be fully present in it?
Yeah. And that energy, right? I always think of this like cup full. And if I say yes to too much, I'm not going to be able to be fully present for the things that I've committed to. If your tank's empty, there's no point in really being there, right? Or you're not able to show up in the way that you want. And I've really seen that play out.
Yeah. Within the community of entrepreneurs that you're connected with in Portland, how do you show up for each other and even ask to receive support?
It's a great question. It's so hard to ask for support. So John, you're like, do it myself. I got this. Um, yeah, I think honestly, sometimes it's just check-in texts, a little bit of encouragement. It can be hard to fit in always like in-person meetups, or if it's a challenging week and something hard happens, like, hey, do you have time to meet up for a coffee just to process with someone, even 30 minutes? So I think it's really help to learn to show up vulnerably. And that can't be everywhere or in every circle or in every space, but to feel like as an entrepreneur, it can be easy to feel like I'm a leader. I need to show up well. And there can be setbacks and things that are really challenging and feeling like you have even a small circle or a couple people for me that it can be like, hey, this is really tough. I'm struggling. And to not even with another entrepreneur, to not even have to say so many words for someone to say, oh, yeah, like just that, like, yes, I feel that deeply and I'm here with you. And I can't necessarily solve it. And I think so often in support from other entrepreneurs, it's not even looking for someone necessarily to solve your problem, but to be there and to have that solidarity goes so far.
hmm Well, I even think about in motherhood as well as being an entrepreneur, those are two things people don't fully understand until they are in them themselves, too.
100%. Yeah. Oh, the other huge one is to celebrate wins. I think that's something that it's so easy to even pause to be like, wait, that's a really big deal. That thing happened. But it's like, oh, but on to the next problem, right? To be like, no, let's like stop and like take a moment, like cheers to that. That's a big thing. Let's take a moment to celebrate before we just move on to all the problems or all the things that are spinning ahead. And I think that's something in entrepreneurship and in motherhood that it's easy to just be thinking about all the things we're not doing well or all the things that we need to grow in, but to like take that moment to pause is huge.
Mm-hmm. I once heard somebody talk about how, like, men are like, I got to the top of the mountain, I'm celebrating. And then the woman gets to the top of the mountain. She has to have everything in place. The picnic has to be perfect. Everybody has to be happy. And then it's time to celebrate. And then we have to pack up and leave.
Another great analogy, Zoe. Yes, exactly that.
But it's like truly powerful. It's those small things that are the big things where it's like, how can we actually have more of that fun and play and celebration in life? Because we live for those things. But what we're actually doing is, okay, but let me raise the bar a little higher so then I can meet that, but then I'll celebrate. But then it's always out of reach. It's like, where are my feet right now? I'm exactly where I prayed to be a year ago or wherever it may be.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And sometimes I find myself coming back to the business side when I step into our facility that we have. It's like, take a deep breath, look around, take it in, like take a moment to take it in. This is something that felt impossible 10 years ago to actually be in our own facility with a team sitting at our team lunch of 25 people, sharing affirmations with each other and writing on our wins board and sharing challenges and figuring out how to support one another. And it can be so easy, as we're talking about, just to get caught up and more keep going, right? Like it's farther away. What I'm
Yeah.
trying to get to. And so, I mean, for all of us in whatever area of life it's like, ooh, take that breath, take that pause, and be grounded in where I am and in what's good and where I am.
Mm-hmm. And you and it's also, I'm going to take a moment to celebrate right now. Like, you and Carolyn have created that in both the doing, but also in the being of the energy that you both have to bring all those people together and kind of pave the way for Nut Butter for good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Is there,
it's very
is there
exciting.
anything that
Yeah.
is there anything that you want to celebrate right now? We're just going to have a moment to
Oh,
celebrate.
oh, you're so sweet. I mean, really celebrating that we've made a decade in business is wild. And we had a team celebration the other day, and to realize that today our company is so much outside of just Carolyn and I and the culture that's formed. It's every one of these 100+ women who have walked through the door who have been made an imprint to form the encouraging, positive place that Ground Up is today. So it's something that it's easy to be like, okay, what's next? All right, let's go. But being like, no, let's stop in this. And as I was talking about in the space we're in and like what we dreamed and met, sure, we're ambitious and have next goals, but like, let's take a moment to celebrate the impact that has happened to date. So I would say that that's a huge one. I think personally, a huge win is not feeling like every day is chaos with a toddler and feeling like we found some rhythms. And some of that has come with, yeah, with saying no, as we were talking about, saying more no's, leaving just a little more margin in life and in business has been a huge personal win.
Mm-hmm. So, over the past 10 years, how have both, like, one, you grown and evolved, and two, how has Ground Up evolved over the past 10 years?
Yeah, so much. I feel like I've grown up with Ground Up. Carolyn and
From
I,
the
like,
ground up.
yeah, we're like, we have grown from the ground up, like literally. I mean, starting your mid 20s, like that's a significant, impactful time in forming who you are and who you become. And yeah, I would say I've grown as a leader. That's been huge to have started this company. I hadn't been, too much of a manager, like overseeing things in Uganda, and that looks slightly different, but managing a team and managing employees, that's something that there's been so many learnings along the way. Some hard ones at the cost of employees on the early days and continued learnings there. I would say, yeah, a continued growth and just a grit and persistence and just the mental strength that has had to come. I used to be so much more broken by just every no or every challenge. I took it so personal that I was being rejected.
Mm,
And to have continued to evolve in that way. And I think it's, yeah, the number of times, like every time you get knocked down, ultimately getting back up is just like that little more strength that I have to weather whatever the storms are that come. And that's, great, been immensely helpful as I've entered motherhood and other just life challenges that I've experienced over the life of the 10 years in business. And yeah, I think also just growing in vulnerability. I was someone who, yeah, as we talk about, like, I got it, I'm going to do it myself. And it freaking takes a village. It takes a village to run a business, it takes a village to raise a little human. And it was so easy early on to be like, I should know the answer. I've got to figure it out. And to really learn to be like, hey, what's the worst that happens? Someone says no, they can't meet with me. They can't take 15 minutes to talk. But what's the best thing that happens is I gain wisdom and knowledge and letting go of this narrative that I should know the answer or I should just find it on my own. And the wealth of knowledge and wisdom that's come into my path and into my circle that I'm incredibly grateful for. And that has, really paved the way. And I give so much credit to the mentors and people that have supported us along the way and shared insights that's allowed us to get to where we are in the business.
mm-hmm.
Did
And
that answer
sometimes
your question? Did I miss part 2? Or did I answer your question?
no, that it all intertwines together, business and life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes we hold it all together and it can be challenging to receive. But what you're talking about too is when you actually put yourself in the place to receive and being like, I need to delegate. I need to ask
Yeah.
for support and I have questions. That is also like when you're able to grow and expand, whether that's with
Mhm.
growing the number of people that you have on your team to support you, or these incredible collaborations that ground up has in the world to create
Yeah.
greater awareness and impact and
Yeah.
mutual responsibility.
Absolutely. And yeah, you just mentioning delegating and letting go, like, whew, that was one of, I don't know why that didn't come up when I was thinking about growth. That was one of the biggest ones for me, my co-founder. It's so easy to be like, this is my baby. I must make every jar, try every jar, be on every sales call, be involved in everything. And then just realizing, okay, capacity and energy as you grow, that's not realistic. And finding and building a team that you trust and hand things over to is a beautiful journey and a really challenging and growing one, and one that's taken a lot of time to let go of being on every email or approving everything and letting go and handing it over to and empowering individuals and what that does.
Mhm.
So that's been another huge, yeah, huge growth.
Mhm. So much to juggle: energy, capacity, profit, impact, motherhood, all the things.
Yes, absolutely.
Mhm.
But here we are, we're doing it.
Yes. And how has Ground Up evolved over the years in terms of how do you come up with your new flavors, or which ones might have been like tried and true from the beginning? And I also know that you're a peanut-free nut butter brand.
Mhm. Yeah. So Ground Up has evolved greatly and grown greatly from when we first started and we were making nut butter in little food processors, making like 2 jars every 30 minutes to now having commercial mixers that can make thousands of jars in a day. So that piece is huge. And every process being so manual, filling the jars, loading our product and ingredients in and out of our cars, not being able to store it at a warehouse, to now have our own space that everything lives in our facility is huge. And yeah, in terms of the product, so our core lineup, specifically the Snickerdoodle, our most popular SKU, and the coconut cardamom with chia seed and triple nut crunch. Those have been tried and true core flavors from the beginning. The coconut cardamom was actually the first one that I ever tried that Carolyn made. And I was like, oh my, this has got to be a store. More people need to have this delicious product. So yeah, product has been an evolution. Carolyn doing so much R&D over the years. And as we do monthly seasonal flavors, we are constantly, there's always a new flavor of nut butter that we can make and bring out. And over time, in order to help grow our e-com site, evolving our flavors from just being our own ideas to influencers and now customer series. And so we're able to get inspiration outside of our team and space.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of distribution is wild to think as we're being very reflective on 10 years to be like, oh, we used to have a custom form. People would tell us anything they want in their nut butter. We would make it and then we'd meet around town or our old company we used to work at. People would pick up orders there or we do personal delivery, not economical or efficient, to now being in, over 1,000 grocery stores and people being able to find us on a retail shelf as well as be able to order across the country on e-com is a huge win.
Oh my gosh, would people submit what kind of nut butter they wanted and then you would literally make that kind?
I shouldn't be telling you this, but maybe I'm telling you this because this will encourage someone else who's early on their entrepreneurial journey. Yes, that is what we did, Zoe. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Was there a form that was filled out with the most outrageous combination?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we even now do a customer series where people can fill up and create flavors and we've gotten so much great inspiration there. But yeah, for sure. Be like 20 ingredients in my nut butter. We're like, maybe a couple too many toppings. Had to set limitations, but we're grateful we've gone past that, but got inspiration.
The cost of 20 ingredients
Yeah.
in your nut butter. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Outside of the tried and true flavors, what has been your favorite flavor that you've created?
Yeah, I honestly love the dark cocoa cookie, which is good timing because you can get it right now online. It is like a liquid Oreo. I don't know if I was not familiar with black velvet cocoa powder, but Carolyn, my co-founder, she's amazing. She can bring anything to life. I'm like, how did you make this taste like a liquid Oreo? Like literally, how did you do it? This is crazy. And she does that with every flavor. Another one I love, I love fruit. I love apples, bananas. I eat my nut butter on them every day, but we have a nutty banana bread flavor that might still be available online and it has freeze dried bananas in it, but I'm a huge fruity gal. So
Banana bread on your banana.
literally what gets better than that? If you like bananas, combo.
Yeah. What is your favorite way to eat your nut butter? And how often do you eat it?
Okay, Zoe, don't call me out that it's like literally 50% of my diet. My daughter who has some words now, almond butter and cashew butter in her vocabulary.
Oh my gosh. I love that.
Yeah, I honestly eat it breakfast, lunch, snack, dinner. It comes into play in all meals. For breakfast, we're talking rice cake with a layer of snickerdoodle with sliced bananas, or in my chia pudding. It's like you just put a dollop of it in your oatmeal and your chia pudding, and it keeps you full longer. It's protein and it just makes it so much more exciting and flavorful. And then usually with lunch, I'll have an apple or a banana, some sort of fruit with it. And then for a little sweet treat snack, I'll dip a flavor in dates. And then dinner, I do a lot of sauces. We came out years ago with a nut butter cookbook and have recipes on our website. So we have a coconut cardamom satay sauce and you fresh spring rolls. It's so yummy. And then also with our hazelnut butter, another savory one, there's some sauces you can do with a noodle dish and other things that are tasty. So not to say I eat it throughout all day, every day.
So you are half nut butter and your daughter is too.
Yes. Also, I was like, if she has a nut allergy, I don't know that she can be my daughter. We're going to have to risk.
Oh my God.
we're in the clear.
That's good. That would have made motherhood even more challenging.
I know.
No, my I also like how you say, I'll have a banana with it. So you're having, do you want a banana with your nut butter?
Totally. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, I love a spoon to the jar situation myself. And like I've told you, one of my favorite ways is taking your squeeze packs and putting them in the freezer. And then it's a
Yeah.
nice little frozen snickerdoodle treat of nut butter. It's so good.
Oh, it's brilliant. Yeah, there's so much you can do. Sometimes people are like, what do I do with this? I'm like, what do you not do with this? You can have it at literally every hour of the day. And midnight snack by the spoonful is quite a popular thing I've heard from customers.
I like putting it in smoothies as like a little topping because it'll kind of like freeze and then it's at the bottom as a nice treat or crunch while you're drinking it.
So good.
Yeah.
We could talk
It,
for hours as nut butter fanatics. So hopefully we're not boring anyone listening.
I don't know if I ever told you, but I had a phase where I was making my own nut butter all the time because I would eat so much of it. And I was thinking
Yeah.
about starting a business because I
Yeah.
was like loving nut butter and making it so much. And then I was like, no, I don't want to create a product that seems like so much work, but I'll just continue to make it myself. But now I just buy ground up.
Well, thank you for your support. And yeah, you might have get more sleep with the decision you made. And
Yeah.
you're doing great things with We Shine Well. So good.
Well,
Glad you're
thank
doing what
you.
you're doing. Yeah.
So, as you look forward to the future of Ground Up, what excites you most about what's ahead?
So many things to be excited about. I think I'm excited to continue. We launched last year at Sprouts nationally, and Sprouts is only in certain parts of the country. So just continuing to figure out how we can chip away at getting Ground Up into more stores for all of our customers and for new customers to reach us. It's a whole nother conversation. It's no small feat to get into grocery stores, but continuing to expand that excites me. I love pitching and selling our delicious product. I'm excited for us to continue to evolve our job training program. The new aspects of our program that we've implemented with the amazing team we have working on it over the last year are just amazing and so impactful. And it's so strange for me to not be as day to day involved in that side of the business anymore, knowing that my skill set needs to be used on the sales side. And I sit in meetings and I'm like, this is so cool. I'm so excited. So continuing to see how our training program evolves and can make more impact. And truly the motivation, the more stores that we can get in, the more women that we can offer job opportunities to, the more days a week of production that we can do, and the more resource we have to, the more, resources that we have to offer trainings to women are made possible. So, and of course, always stay tuned for new flavors and things that we're working on behind the scenes.
Yes. What is one of your favorite collabs been? Because I know you do many of those too.
Oh gosh, one of my favorites has been working with Molly Ye. We did a marzipan with sprinkles, and she's just one of the sweetest, kindest people to work with. So it's always fun to do a partnership or collaboration with someone who's like, oh, I would love to just sit and have a coffee with you. And she's just been really cool now selling our product in her shop that she opened and featuring us in our cookbook. So it's been cool because it was a flavor that was really delicious, but it's fun when it can sometimes evolve into more when the influencer is really passionate about what we're doing and thinks our product's delicious.
Oh, I need to try that flavor if you bring it back again. It sounds
Okay, we'll
fun.
see if you're listening, Molly. Yay, we'll see.
Well, I mean, it's just so admirable about everything that you're doing of having there be true growth that's making an impact. And for anybody that's listening, it is truly the best nut butter out there. Go buy yourself a jar or go to Sprouts or wherever they have it near you, and we can add a link in the show notes for a discount that people can get for ordering online too. And what is one reminder that you want listeners to take away from this conversation today about creating impact in their own lives?
Great question. Yeah, I would say start small, start within the capacity and gifting that you have, and let it evolve. See where it goes. Have conversations within your community and your network. I find that that can be so powerful. It's like, ooh, maybe you find someone else who's really passionate about that too that you didn't know, or ooh, maybe you have someone who has a skill set that you could then partner together on something. So that is what I would leave everyone with on that side. And if you're also a mompreneur, hang in there. You're doing great. Take it one day at a time and say no more than you say yes.
Amazing. And where can listeners support Ground Up, find Ground Up, and follow along on the journey?
Yeah, absolutely. Ground Up PDX. That's our website and also our social handle. Locally in stores, certain regions, you can find us at Whole Foods or Target or Sprouts nationally. But you can look on our store locator on our website. And then, of course, you can always try our fun seasonal flavors ordering directly from us.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for this conversation. It was so fun from one nut butter lover to another, and I'm so grateful to have you as part of our community.
Appreciate you having me on, Zoe. Thank you.
Of course. Have a beautiful day. Thank you for tuning in to the We Shine Well podcast. If today's conversation lit something up in you, I'd love for you to share it with a friend, leave us a review, and dive deeper each week by subscribing to our Substack in the show notes to interact with guests and discover more resources to expand you. Until next time, keep trusting your right next step and keep shining, my friend.